Morning that I'm going to fulfill before we do anything else, and it's something that we haven't done for 3 years, I've been told, and that is the rain ceremony. Okay, so the spiritual background of this is we're all one. We're all one, and so we are one with the storms. And as we honor, celebrate, and become the storms ourselves, then they increase, and more and more and more rain comes. So this is how you do it. You lose your mind. That's we talked about that, how important it is to lose your mind. And then as I point to you, I'm going to sweep the room like this, doing something, and you do what I do. But more than watching me, listen to the storm that we are creating. Okay? Okay. Isn't that the best? Good job. Good job, storm makers. Now it is time for us to celebrate the second Sunday of Advent. This is the second Sunday before the birth of the Son, S-O-N-S-U-N, and we celebrate that by today blessing the plants of our world. So we light 2 candles, 1 candle for the earth herself and 1 candle for the plants on the earth. So I think we're going to sing these through twice. So we learned it last week, but if you weren't here, you'll catch on. We light a candle in the dark to greet the newborn sun. The earth turns upon its axis, a new year is begun.
Winter's cold is done. Winter's cold is done. Winter's cold is done.
And as we go through these next 2 weeks of increased darkness, the next Sunday we will be blessing the animals, and the following Sunday we will be blessing the people, and then the final singing of this song is on Christmas Eve, which you're all invited to. So right now, I would love to welcome everyone who is here for the very first time or new-ish, that people who have not received one of our new welcome packets. And so if you would just put your hand up if you are here for the first time or new-ish, and someone will put something in it for you. So, and I want to welcome everyone that's here for the first time or new, and hope that you feel that you are right at home. So where you are is the Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living, right here, where our vision is awakening personal transformation. That's each and every one of us and collectively. And our mission is teaching tools for positive change. So we don't just say that you're responsible for your own transformation without showing you how. So we're all in this together. And then this has been our theme for this whole year, coming rapidly to a conclusion. But hopefully it is so ingrained in us that we will continue on that joy ride for our entire lives. Your Joyous Life has been our theme for the whole year. And the theme for this particular month is being perfect in the oneness. Now, this is the essence of each one of us. Absolutely perfect, and we never really have deviated from that. And in this perfection, we are all one, just like we sang with the rain, and we're one with everyone and everything, all of those people that we love, and all of these troubling situations on our planet. We have to say we are one with that too, and I'm going to talk about that today. But just to know that we are in this together, all of us. The goal for December is keep working toward life mastery. And 2 John is indicated on the theme here. And 2 John is like the teeniest chapter in the entire Bible. It's this long, the whole chapter. And in any Bible you look at, it's this long. And but the thing that we remember from 2 John is that wonderful invitation to love one another. So my title today is Enjoying the Spiritual Tasks of Winter. I think everybody has already mentioned that has talked today. So the spiritual tasks for winter, in my mind, are suggested to us by the seasonal tasks. You know, every single religion on the planet that is operating now got its origin in the seasons. And all the religions that operate in the northern hemisphere, which has most of the landmass on our planet, all have to do with light in this time of darkness. And so it makes sense that the seasonal tasks sort of translated into spiritual tasks as they were taken into every religion on the planet. So although we can do anything at any time of year because we have free choice and, you know, we have jobs and we do the same kinds of things all year round, the energy is not for springtime things right now. The energy is not for planting new projects. It's really not for setting goals right now. That's not the energy that's around us. Neither is the energy of summer around us, and the energy of summer is really hard work and passionate living and being out there in the sunshine and, you know, moving a lot. That's not what's natural right this time of year, and neither is the fall task of harvest. The harvest is in. Whatever you got is your harvest, and you get to plant something new next spring if you want to. So we're looking at the tasks of winter. And last week we talked about waiting. And although waiting is not really a task, it's something we learn at this time of year as it gets darker and darker and darker to wait for the sun. And also, this is the time of year for our ancestors where they repaired the farm equipment, and they repaired their clothing. They did jobs around the house, inside, and pardon me. Fences. They mended the fences in the winter. Thank you. Yes. So just listen to this. Imagine what would happen if we were to understand that ancient prescription for this season literally and removed just one, say the right front tire from our automobiles, and used this for our Advent wreath. Indeed, things would stop. Our daily routines would come to a halt, and we would have the leisure to incubate. That's actually what our ancestors did. They would take a wheel off of the cart and bring it inside and decorate it with greenery, and that was their wreath for Christmas. And then they also repaired the axle. That's what they did. So this is our title today, the title slide, which is Enjoying the Spiritual Tasks of Winter. Isn't that just the sweetest little thing, making little stars and sunshine? Patching your clothing. So when we take this into the spiritual realm, of course you can make any repair job you have holy, just as Shawn has done with the altar. You got to check out this altar. It's got a sewing kit. It's got, the electrical tape. It's got, and I think this is absolutely the first time that I've ever seen a screwdriver and a hammer on the altar. So thank you, Shawnee. This is the altar of repair. What we are doing this time of year is really repairing our consciousness. And that's the lesson for today, repairing our consciousness. And here's a little guy that's trying to juggle everything and not having a very good time of it. And so we get to look at what happens to our consciousness when it's left undirected. You know what happens. When it's left undirected, the negative thoughts and the negative energy of the world somehow get planted in our mind unless you're very, very, very good and have done a lot of spiritual work already, and your fallback position is not worry. But something happens if we don't keep up with our spiritual work, and that's what happens when we need to repair because we haven't kept up. So when we don't keep up, these negative ideas happen unbidden. They just kind of show up. Have you noticed that? And so we seem to get things planted in our consciousness that were not intended, and we didn't think we created them. So a good time to sift through what has accumulated in our consciousness is wintertime, when we get to read spiritual books and pray indoors and sit by the fire and really have a time to repair our consciousness. So the first question that I have for you is, where have I allowed myself to dip into worry or awfulizing? Or, somebody says how bad it is, and you say, well, you don't even know. Here, And so I do want to talk about current events at this point because I've had a lot of conversations about the worry that is being generated in our country. And first of all, just to remind us all that worry is negative goal setting, and it's really never a good idea. But if I say to you, just stop it. Was it Newhart? Bob Newhart, the psychiatrist, said somebody would come to him and say, oh, da-da-da-da-da, and he would just say, I have the cure for you. And they go, really, really? And he'd go, stop it. Stop it. So if I just say, stop it, don't worry, some of us that have had a lot of spiritual work go, oh yeah, I can do that. But it's harder if we don't have a lot of spiritual work under our belt, and around us is talk about how bad it is. So what I find is that this is a really good time, winter is a really good contemplative time, to make a case for our mind that our mind can grab a hold of. Because the teaching of the science of mind. It is done unto you as you believe. And if your beliefs deep down in there is that life is dangerous and I'm at risk, then that's going to show up for you a lot. In fact, a lot of people have that idea, because that's why things like this, like San Bernardino, show up. That they believe that life is unsafe and, I've got to watch my back. So our life shows us what our beliefs are. So we need to change our beliefs in order to stop worrying. And in order to change our beliefs, sometimes we have to make a case for our mind that our mind can say, all right, I can actually get behind that. So I went through that this week because I am so tired of this violence. I am not a violent person. Let me just say, not only do I not believe in guns, but I would like to live in a world where there are no weapons at all, anywhere. No, there's no guns, there's no bullets, there's no bombs. We don't have it here. That's where I want. And I want it so much that, I don't believe in spanking. That's violent to me. I don't even believe in honking, except for, if somebody's going to back into me and I want to, alert them that I'm here. But I do not honk for people to move faster. I think it's violent. So I asked myself, why am I here? Why am I in this dimension that is violent? I'm not violent. And then there was this divine download. It really was. Because if we want peace, it seems that we don't just get transferred to a peaceful dimension. We work with what we have in this dimension and remain peaceful. We come to peace in ourselves and spread that around in an environment that may not be peaceful. That's how we become peaceful people. It's like any hero's journey. You want to grow spiritually, you don't get to just be, zapped into spiritual growth. You're given a situation where you get to grow. You're given a situation where you learn the lessons to become the person that you want to become. So absolutely, I am in the right dimension. I am a peace worker in this realm where there doesn't seem to be enough peace. And that is true for each one of us who claims ourselves to be peacemakers. Peace workers, light workers, whatever you want to call it. This is our dimension of work. And so that's a case that I made for my mind, and I am content being here. I am content with the news of the day because it reminds me that my job is peace in every moment, peace in every step. That's the whole Thich Nhat Hanh thing behind the song that Bodhi wrote, peace in every step. It's not that we get to be ushered into peace first, it's that we walk every single step in this realm in peace. So, I join the Pope when he calls for a tenderness revolution. He said, we need a revolution of tenderness, because from here, justice and all the rest derives. So when you think of tenderness, when I think of tenderness, I think of vulnerability, I think of softness, I think of open-heartedness and connection. And if we had those things, if we had vulnerability, softness, open-heartedness, and connection, we would heal the world. So that's part of my work, is to remain there no matter what. So the next point is kind of like that. Where have I allowed myself to settle into negative judgment? There's a lot of places to put negative judgment at this point in time. So what we see, of course, on the news is this polarizing news and examples of people communicating what is wrong and bad. And if we don't repair our consciousness, we get into that loop of looking for what's wrong and bad. And of course, when we look for what's wrong and bad, we find it more and more and more. So from our happiness book, I've got something from Gretchen that I want to read to you. When I was feeling unhappy, I felt dispirited, lethargic, defensive, and uninterested in other people. Even worse, when I felt angry or resentful, I searched for excuses to feel even more angry and resentful. On the other hand, when I felt happy, I was more likely to be lighthearted, generous, creative, kind, encouraging, and helpful. So this is natural for us to increase the direction that we're going. So in winter, when we repair our consciousness, we move in the direction of peace and kindness and all of those life-enhancing qualities. And forgiveness. Forgiveness is one of those essential qualities at this time when we hear the news of the day. And forgiveness in this instance is not, oh, that's okay. That is not the message of forgiveness. Forgiveness, in reference to the news of the day, is untying our ability to be dispirited by the news. It is untying our ability to be affected in a negative way. It is reestablishing, it is repairing and reestablishing ourselves as being joyful and having that joy not impacted by anything. That is what we're looking for because joy is our natural state. So next is, where have I allowed myself to berate myself? As I counsel and teach, I hear people with so much frustration and self-judgment because they're not getting the lessons fast enough, they're not doing what they think they should often enough, and I think that a lot of us were raised with some kind of punishment model. You know, if you do something bad, you're punished. You know, you're spanked or you've got time out, or there's a consequence that is just delivered. When some of our families without a lot of talk involved. You're bad, this is what you get. And when we have that model internalized way down deep in there, you're bad, this is what you get, this is what we turn on ourselves. And what we get is a lot of self-condemnation, because that's the punishment that we can give ourselves when we don't do the right thing, when we don't do what we think we should. We punish ourselves by hating ourselves. And we become unkind, harsh, very punishing, and that model does not promote positive change. But neither does the model of you know, hating yourself and then going directly to an affirmation and saying, I'm whole, complete, and perfect, without examining what the action is needed or what the consciousness shift is needed in order to perpetuate spiritual growth. That's the repair that we do in the winter for this one. So in the Science of Mind textbook, first of all, there is not reference to self-love, which I think is really interesting. There's a lot of references to self-knowing with the capital S, which means I know the God self within. Let me read you one piece of this. The starting point of all creation is the Word of Spirit. The Word is the concept, idea, image, or thought of God. Notice, not of a thing, of God. It is the self-knowing mind, and Ernest Holmes capitalized all three words, the self-knowing mind, speaking itself into manifestation. The word back of everything is its initial cause. So when we go from self-knowing to love, this is what we get. As all is mind, and as we attract to us what we first become, until we learn to love, we are not sending out love vibrations, and not until we send out those vibrations can we receive love in return. And we can only send out love vibrations when what is generated deep within, first of all to ourself, is love. So knowing ourself to be a God being, and knowing that our word replicates the nature of spirit in us, and knowing that love is what we want, we become that and center, direct that love to ourselves first. Does that make sense? All right. Finally, then, where have I allowed myself to be self-centered? Now, this is a real balancing act, because we are to love ourselves, to love the God presence within us, and yet not be self-centered. And that self-centered is with the small s, because that is the ego self. When we are so self-centered that all we can say is, I want it this way, I want it this way, I want it this way. Remember, the word of spirit describes God, not a thing. So that indicates to us that our greatest creation would be to create ourselves as a divine being over and over and over again. And then, here it is, seek first the kingdom of God, and all else will come to you. That's how that works. So, what we want is something that, when we do that, what happens is something is created that is good for us and good for all. So, this is, I could have gone on, but, you know, we don't have enough time to go all of the repair that we can all make. But these don't, if I've allowed myself to dip into worry or negative judgment or self-hatred or self-centeredness, this is the time that we repair, and this is what repairing looks like. Mended and restored consciousness. So first of all is, going backwards now, to heal being self-centered, I am generous and compassionate. The mended consciousness that was ego-centered reveals generosity and compassion for everyone, and reveals the goal of the month, or the theme of the month, perfect in the oneness. All of us are perfect in the oneness. And then in order to heal self-hatred, this one, I am gentle with myself. And remember, we teach other people how to treat us. And so when we're gentle with ourselves, then people are gentle with us. And if we just all did that, you know, that would heal the world. All we need is like one really good lesson to grab a hold of and do it and do it and do it and do it and do it, and we have world peace. And then if we settle into negative judgment, being a speedy forgiver gets us back to equanimity. So when we feel resentment rise, we move to compassion. When we feel judgment rise, we move to release. When taking offense is easy for us, we just let it go. It's more about them than about us anyway. And anything that is that felt sense that is constricting, we learn how to give it to God and restore joy. And then finally, for that one about worry, this one, all manner of things are well with me. This is the way to heal worry. So this is a restatement of a quote by Julian of Norwich. It's English, Norwich. She was a Christian mystic and actually wrote the first book in English by a woman. And it's called Revelations of Divine Love. And she writes, all shall be well, and all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well. If this were our response to worry every single time, then we would create a world living in love. My mom, who was a teacher of teachers of this philosophy, said everything is a consciousness necessity. So everything that's happening in our world is a response to consciousness. It's not just some bad luck that's happening. It is, and then I know that you can say, well, what about the people that died? And that's another talk. But just to say that they're fine, they're very, very fine. When we create a repaired consciousness, we co-create a repaired world. So in conclusion, last night I had the absolute blessing of going to the Santa Rosa Symphony and hearing Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, which includes the choral piece of an Ode to Joy. There were hundreds of voices. It was so magnificent that I wished I didn't have skin on so I could just take it all in. So before I read to you the translation of the chorale piece of this work of art that is considered one of the greatest musical works of art ever written by anybody. Beethoven wrote the Ninth Symphony when he was deaf. And it's said that when he conducted it the first time, I mean, this was a tormented man. He kept conducting after the symphony was completed because he didn't hear. Someone came up to him and turned him around so that he could see the audience. People standing, applauding with tears pouring down their face. This piece of music was played in the concentration camps of Germany. This piece of music was played in Tiananmen Square. This piece of music was played when the Berlin Wall came down. And it is the accepted piece of music for the Council of Europe. It is played for humanity when humanity needs a healing. And the title of it is Ode to Joy. Not just healing hate, but an ode to joy. This is part of the translation. Joy, bright spark of divinity, daughter of Elysium, fire inspired we tread within thy sanctuary. Thy magic power reunites all that custom has divided. All men become brothers under the sway of thy gentle wings. This is the healing power of joy. So, these are the spiritual principles we talked about today. Our natural state is open-heartedness, joy, and connection. This is what we go back to all the time with a repaired consciousness. And spiritual healing benefits everyone. Not just you, the healed one, but everyone around you. And the going deeper today is my default feeling is joy. This is what I go back to. If you are an advanced student, we could wake you, we could shake you awake in the middle of the night and say, what are you feeling? And you would say joy. That is what I want for all.